Hey, storytelling right now. We're talking about how to start an APOC game. Apostles of the APOC. Okay, so this a Christian role-playing game where the characters play missionaries in a nuclear fallout post-apocalyptic world. The Christians have been in a bunker for like 100 years, so the missionaries will be the new generation of kids that have never experienced this modern world. And the world out there was around 2100 AD. So the way you introduced it and the way I did this was kind of unique and radical, even for me, was that I had the colonel and the chaplain come into the rec room. That was like literally how I started the game. And they told them, see, I didn't use expository. I didn't want to use like I explained the world to them as a GM. I wanted the chaplain and the colonel to explain the world to them. And they came into the rec room and told all the players. And players hadn't even, I did this twice now with playtesting. And the players, some of them never even played a role-playing game before, or barely, But I basically said, you guys, the colonel and chaplain basically were like in a rec room saying, thank you all for coming and thank you for training and thank you for preparing yourselves. We know that the world out there is now safe. The radiation levels are down. And we were glad that you've done your training. And here's the souped up armored RV transport. You're going to be going out and doing and seeing if there's any survivors out in the wasteland. What have you trained? Make sure you talk with each other on how you've trained. But let's do a tour of the RV so you all know what's going on. And I did, in the voices of the characters. And let me just show you the game here. You're going to give the characters this page right here, which is literally and then their character sheet, but which is literally the transport and everything it has in it. So they can start looking at that and deciding what they want to have. And you tell them also about the transport, how it has a med lab, a workshop, driving, a mounted 50 cal gun. Wait, where's the transport has stats as well that you give them. But so then they start talking, and then you let them role play out talking to each other. Who's going to do what? Who's good at this? Who's trained for that? Sorry. And then they start. It was really cool. They start discussing their training, like, whoever is whatever. And as they do, you can have them just create the characters, or I allotted the ability scores, the traits. It starts with a +5, so it's like a +4 in D&D, same thing. 5, 3, 1, 0, -1, -2. So I basically did the 5 and 3 and the 1. Whenever they talked about what they did or who they were, I would allot them on their character sheet to their traits based on their personalities. If they were more aggressive, if they were more shooty, if they were more chaplainy, clergy, if they were more doctory or craftsman-y, more fix up things, So aggression is more of a melee combat. It's strength and dexterity and aggression. Awareness is more shooting, aiming, looking at things. Technology is their proclivity to fix things. They're tech handy. And in the Dark Ages, it's secrecy, which is their proclivity to do criminals type stuff, subterfuge, pick locks, as well as hand stuff, pickpockets and all that. And even for secrecy, even for stealth. But for this one, for APOC and the sci-fi, it's technology. It's the proclivity just to fix things, be handy with things. Spirit is obviously their wisdom and courage and all that. Intellect is their crafting and their academic and their research and programming and designing things. Society is, wit, performance, whatever direction they want to go in with that. I also, based on what they're saying, will give them a couple skills. It's just based on what they say. Like, I'm really into tinkering with the little robots or whatever. I'm like, oh, okay. There's, you guys have basic toy robots maybe in the bunker or the Christian thing, but you never. But as far as actually finding robots out, knowing that there's robots out there, you don't know. But I give them robot repair, not build, but repair, and that's a skill. And I'd give them something like that. And so the traits are the constant numbers to roll with a D20, like D20 +5, to roll to hit or whatever, for a weapon to hit. But there's also, they can have skills, and it uses the die rank system here. You can see at the bottom, you can see it right there. This is, so D4, D6, they got the typical dice don't know if you know the D&D dice, the D20 dice, but it goes up, right? So if the first skill rank of repair robot is D4, so they'll have their technology plus the D20 plus the D4, and then they can increase that with when they get experience points, or called glory points. So they can go from a D4 to a D6 to a D8 to a D10 to a D12. It can go beyond that, but there's extra rules for that, and it's more expensive. But they can certainly keep developing their character. There's no limit. But that's what I love about the D4 die rank system, D4, D6, D8, D10, D12, is that you can get better and better at something, but you can also roll bad. I love that because it never makes the characters like plus 10 or plus 11 on everything they roll. They're always going to have this range, with kind of an averaging out thing. And to me, that's what I've experienced in life. Like even in medieval armored combat, I've experienced that I'm really good in the lists and fighting and doing melee, but I flub plenty of times. I'll mess up, or a new guy will get me easily sometimes. And, statistically I do better, but it's a range. It's not, I always do better. And it just depends, but if you train really hard, you could get like super good and blah, blah, blah. But that's the rare person who really that's how they spend all their time focusing on that. Whereas me, I'm kind of like the averagely, decent guy fighting. But so that's what those mean. And that's how I kind of worked it out. So then as they're talking too, they start picking items, and you can see they all have a burden. The armor has a burden and everything. So they write these down in these areas, and then they got, I can see here the burden, the groups here, heavy. You can carry 2 heavy, 3 medium, and 4 light. And what that means is, heavy, like to me, a longbow is heavy because it's a big thing. It's not heavy, but it's just big and cumbersome in the sense of, because of the size of it. So that's how I kind of do with heavy, medium, and light. It depends on what it is. Armor is generally on the lighter end because you're wearing it evenly distributed over yourself, but it's still can be heavy. So that's how that is. Plus the gear, same thing. You put those into the groups. Now you can carry more than that. You're just at your minus D4 to every roll if you're burdened, or the minus based on the armor save. So if you're wearing plastics, which is the only armor they have in their the Apoc, they'll be at minus D6. That's also the roll for any sort of terrain test if they're wearing plastics. Minus D4 being the minimum. If you have a terrain test or if you're burdened, the minus D4 is the penalty for every roll. Or if you're wearing the plastics, it'll be minus D6. And that also minus D6 is what the armor save to reduce damage if you take damage. And that, kind of like that's it. The character's done. That's all you need. And the person can explore any skill branch or class or direction they want. They can come up with, I want to read faster. Okay, reading D plus D4. You get glory points, in the game when you accomplish things, and not killing. Not necessarily killing. I mean, it's not the killings of a villain is not the XP. The saving of someone and stopping the villain, that's the XP or glory point. And when you get one, for different things, and then you can spend that one to buy a skill or upgrade. You can upgrade your to hit. Yep, with a D4. You can have a +5 aggression, plus a D4, plus a D or D6, D8. You can do that. Damage, you can actually upgrade the damage. If a sword starts off as a D6, you can make that a D8. You can spend a glory point, D10, D12, D12. Yes, I believe in that. I actually believe in that in these weapons. You can make a single-handed mace as effective as a greatsword if you're skilled with it. If you're very skilled with it, I believe that. A two-handed just by default is damaging, but someone with a mace can be just as damaging if they're good with it, if they know how to handle it correctly, and train with it. But anyway, so that's it. Now, if you're a clergy, you're going to get a blessings, and the blessings really work very simplistically, sort of. I mean, yeah. Okay, so let me just zoom in on this. So you can see here, if you get healed, you start off with, have the character, if they're going to be a clergy, hopefully they'll be a pastor or a cleric. There can be a woman evangelist. They can't be pastors of a church, but not like you guys are going to run any of the churches. You're just there to plant the church and then move on. But a clergy, a pastor, or an evangelist, even a woman, can have blessings, and blessings are like the three basic ones is heal, protect, and bless. And how it works is your spirit here, like if you have a +5 spirit, let's say, and you're a clergy, part of the clergy, you'll have 5 faith points to spend every encounter, or separately of 5 faith points for the day. And those are like casual faith points, when you sit around and pray or work with people, you can spend it then. Sorry, I got a little bit of a cold left. But for the during an encounter, during a stressful fighting, or it can be an arguing situation as well, not necessarily just, killing combat. But during an intense encounter, you have 5 separate faith points that you could spend. How do you spend them? Let's say you're doing bless. You want to bless your other characters, give them all a +D4 for their next roll. Okay, so just one turn, you want to bless all your friends, your missionaries. So basically what you're doing is, Jesus, help us here now, please. Like you're kind of like doing that kind of thing. And so they're encouraged and they get a +D4. Okay, so you since you said all of them, and there's like, let's say 4 missionaries, I'm going to say to the player, do you want to spend 1 faith point on deluge, which will affect up to 4. It's up to 4, not all 4. You roll a D4. Okay, and then you want to give them 1 bless. All right, so you spend 1 on deluge and 1 on deliverance, and not on duration. You can see the deluge there, yeah. And 1 on deliverance. Deliverance is the +D4 to their bless. So yeah, so show let's say the nun or sister. She please Lord help all my friends. So she rolls a D4, just spends 1 faith point on that. 1. So she only affects 1 of them. She's trying to tell all of them, but only one of them sees it. And then that person basically gets a D4 to they can add to their roll, whatever it is. If they're going to fight, they're going to preach. If they're going to try to spot something, they'll get 1 D4 blessing to that roll. And so she has lost or spent 2 faith points. Now she has 3 left. Okay, let's say they're fighting and she's going to heal. I want to heal all of them. Oh, okay. Well, and I want to heal them, So basically what she's doing with a heal isn't necessarily first aid. It's also just, you can do it. We can keep fighting. You can, you can struggle on. That's a heal too. It's giving them their vitality back, their adrenaline. It's that too. So let's say she says, I want to heal everybody. 2. So she gets to heal 2 people, and she can decide which 2. She's spending all 3 points. So she decides I want it to last longer. So she says duration. Okay, you can spend 1 on duration. And that is 4 turns. For 4 turns, she is encouraging these 2 to fight on. And every turn, they get a D4, because she spent 1 faith point on the deliverance of heal. So that's pretty cool. That's how it works. That's for bless, protection, because it gives them protection for defense. And then for heal. And there's other ones as well. There's other blessings that in the same thing. She spends those 5 faith points during the encounter, and she can increase the 5 faith points through, upgrading it by giving herself a D4, D6, D8 additional faith points per encounter. So, like if she has 5 faith points and then an additional D4 per that encounter, so she rolls that 1, so she gets 6 faith points for this encounter, and she can upgrade that again as a skill, to get like a D8. So she has a D8 now. So it's 5 + 1. I rolled 1. But see? So that's what I love about this. You can upgrade your skills, but as well as roll a 1 during any of those encounters or with your skill roll. That's it, folks. That's the characters. That's how they develop. And this is all their weapons. Very simple, old school looking damage. Range is there, but you can as a GM, you just kind of feel it out what the range is. I don't really care. Supply or style. The style of the weapon is an additional thing that this all explains the gear and stuff and supplies. Oh, in the game you have supplies. Let me do one thing at a time. Okay, style of the weapons. This just gives you extra little uniqueness of each type of weapon. Like a big chainsaw has crushing, so it's 19 and 20 crit. If you roll a 19, it's slow. Fuel 3. Unwieldy 5. So if you roll a 5 or less, it's a fumble. Kind of thing. And these styles you don't have to implement every time, even if it's a bad one. If you just can remember, do it. You know, as a GM, you know, you got to write them down, and they got to write them down if they want to use them. So it's not, it's keep it simple if this is too much. But as you play and get used to the game, start, you know, using these as well. I got rules on fire damage here. Supplies is, I love this thing where you don't use it every time. You just use it whenever you feel like. You roll, there's a little chart saying that they could be using up some of their supplies. And here's the supplies. And this is what they want to find. And this is what they use to, they can give themselves, upgrade their weapons and stuff by using their low-tech, high-tech. Medical to use to heal, and surgeries. They got to spend this per, you know, time they want to heal each other up. Scrap is just for repairing their armor, like basic stuff. And that'll be used up. Also, and so they're in ammo, they will use that up if they roll a fumble. Not every time they shoot, but if they roll a really low fumble roll and then an ammo result is rolled, then they have to reuse their ammo. So they got to like take one out of here, make this a 29, and put an ammo in their gear. Otherwise, if they don't have an ammo in their gear, and ammo just refers to every ammo. It can be in arrows to bullets. I don't care. Just keep it simple. But they will use that up. So they got to like remember to either find ammo, or they can even make ammo. There's a way to make ammo. Simple rule there. They know how to make ammo because they, you know, that's a basic training for going out. So they have like, you know, all the little, you know, making bullets and arrows. They know how to do it. They just got to roll to do it. But they got to use up a scrap, you know, to do it. I think it's just scrap. Maybe it might be something else in there, like a refuel, like one scrap, one refuel to make an ammo or something like that. Somewhere in there. And you can just say that if you want. If you can't remember, just say, you know, take one scrap and one refuel to make ammo, or to make, and let's see how much ammo you make. You know. The one thing I really love. Oh, here's combat. Here's the basic thing on combat. There's no initiative. I know initiative is kind of fun, but I've decided that you should. I love it better this way. For now, as a GM. I just tell whoever goes first to go first. If the players are excited, just go first. I just let them. But if I have sort of a sneaky, ambushy thing, I will attack with my guys. You know, with the creatures or the snake or whatever it is. I'll attack first, and everyone's like cool with it. You know, like especially if they didn't spot it, they didn't, you know, their awareness roll or whatever. And generally though, as the fight goes into the second, third, fourth turn, I just group them together and I let the players go first, and then I do my baddies second. Just, you know, just move it along. So I don't even worry about that. It's pretty fun. There's two actions. One is maneuver and one is an action, or you can do two maneuvers. That's it. And one action means one attack. So even when I list off in the creatures like 3 or 4 different attacks, they only get one of them. Now they will get a free action. A free action is like a tail attack or, you know, some other thing, but that's once per turn as well. And then that can happen whenever, like I feel like they've been attacked or whatever. So I can just put that in there whenever I feel like. Like if they're fighting a monster croc, and some of them come up behind and attack it, I'll let them attack, and then the tail will attack as well because it's a free action. But other than that, I don't do like 2 attacks, 3 attacks, 4 attacks. You know, because I want the combat to move along, and the one attack represents if they have extra skill sets in it, bonuses and stuff. It represents several attacks, you know, that they've been doing. Basically, and then this is Nat 1 fumbles here, Nat 20 critical thing. You can actually avoid fumbles and wounding if you roll high enough on that second skill die. You know, like the if you roll a 6 or above on like the D6, D8, D10, D12, then you can actually negate if you roll a Nat 1. You still miss or whatever probably, but at least you're not doing a fumble or whatever. Also, the combat is this section right here, and then this right here is denouement, which is very important. Denouement is you're trying to fight the baddies, but you're trying to break them down so much that they start to surrender, and then you can convert them, or at least subdue the evil so that they will submit and not enact out their evil, you know, which is what we Calvinists believe anyway. That we can't convert everybody. We can't actually convert at all. Christ converts, but we can subdue people enough so that they can calm down, don't do bad stuff, and let's get a church in your village, and then the church will start trying to convert those people, or not. So that's the basics of the game right there. This game has combat, vehicle combat, was a whole heck of fun. I really worked it out so that is game mechanics. The combat for vehicles is fun and simple. I know it looks a little intimidating here, but it really isn't. Here's the stat. Here's how you have the stats. Actually, it's not even the bottom part. It's this part right here is all you need for vehicle combat, plus the parts, which is like you name off all the different parts. So let's go to this word buggy right here real quick. Okay. Handling, TR10. So what that means is that person, the evil mutant marauder driver rolls, and whatever they get above a 10, like say they roll 16 total with their driving, they get a 16. So they roll a D6, or they get an extra D6 to add on to their attack, maybe their defense, because that means they're driving really fast and good, and then that extra D6 helps. Same with the players. The players will have a driver, and that driver will try to handle the transport really well. The transport has, I think, a 12 or 14. They got to get over that, and then you decide if it's a D4, D6, D8, D10, or if there's any bonus at all that can be added to someone else. As you're driving really well, and you get like a D8 bonus, you can give that to the shooter, and then they can add it to their, because they got I got a shot, and start shooting their 50 cal. It's really fun. It really adds a lot to the game. So that's that. Fast wheel just describes what kind of, just whatever their thing. The comm is radios. In the Apoc game, it's very minimal to 0 because it doesn't have a scanner, radar. But in the sci-fi, this one's really important. Jammer. So defense 15, armor, save is D8. Almost, and a hull is 3. So this is very much like human scale, and vehicles have their own armor. And it is similar. I believe it's similar to us because think of like a lawnmower or a car. If you shoot it with a gun, you're gonna be able to do damage with it. Like a handgun, you're gonna be able to damage it. Now, will it kill it? No, but it'll damage it. I could shoot out a tire, and so the car is disabled. I mean, right? So we certainly can do that. Even with a jet, if I had a handgun and start shooting that jet, I could damage it, so you wouldn't want to fly it. So that's where I'm at with this. I'm like, but a tank has a way bigger save, right? A tank will have a D12, D4, or D8, like D12 and a D8. So if I'm shooting with a handgun, I'm not going to be able to do much damage to it, or, but possible, but probably not. Anyway, parts. So this right here is kind of just describing what's in the car or what's in the vehicle. This is extra abilities. Sorry. Let me pause and clear my phlegmy throat. Okay, I'm back. Let me drink a little coffee, wash that down. Gross. Okay, so vehicles will have different little, skills or abilities that see, so this one has a plus D6 to handle, so it's really super cool, so it's gonna be some serious handling here. This thing is gonna be, zipping in and out as you're trying to shoot it. But it's very weak, right? It only has a whole 3. Every part of the vehicle has 3 hit points. So if you roll and you actually do hit it, because you're probably going to be, it's probably going to be really hard to hit it. It's got a defense of 15, but with the handling and this plus D6 here, it's going to be driving around really fast. So that could, the driver could add it to the defense. Now they may not, and that could be stupid of them. They might just drive really fast in a straight line. So you're like, oh, okay, I'll beat it. But if they're zigzagging around, that's probably, so that's described as them adding their handling roll, the bonus to the 15. But they could be driving. They could decide to give it to their cannon, and the cannon guy is going to have to shoot. And this I think is a single. I think it's just him. It might just be I could just no loader, so it's just one guy. So I'm going to say he's going to decide whether he's being super fast to shoot the cannon or he's being super fast to be defensive, and then shoot the cannon whenever he can with no bonuses. This right here is the damage of the cannon, not the hit. I should probably differentiate that. But I usually do by typing the bonus right after cannon and then comma and then damage. Far as the range, auto 2, ammo 10. Auto 2 is cool. He gets 2 shots. The first shot uses all his skills if he has any. The second shot is just a raw number to see if they'll hit. And that's a freebie. But if he rolls a 10 or less on either of those rolls, like with his awareness, with his skill added, if he rolls a 10 or less, he runs out of ammo. So he's shot off all his ammo. He didn't, realize it, but he has no loader. So basically, once this guy if he does roll a 10 or less, which is pretty easy to do, he'll run out of ammo and he'll have to take off, or he has to stop the vehicle, reload it himself, and then get back in and do his thing. So that's like a little, trickery thing here. And this is armor piercing 4, which will reduce the save of anything that it shoots. So it can get through a transport. Okay, but if you hit him, You will roll D6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Why? I must be missing a. Nope. Okay, so why am I only got one? No, I just found a little mess up. Let me see. What else can I? Engine, control, drive. Yeah. Cannon. Okay, so hull. Just do that. So the hull is no, I wouldn't do hull. Let me see. Engine. Okay, so we got the engine. Oh, let me do wheels because that matters to me. And drive is wheels, by the way. Drive is wheels, but I feel like since it's so big, these wheels, I'm gonna give it another wheels. Because I feel like and you can decide that. You can just decide that. And I want to match it to a D6, right? So there's definitely an engine. Control is his steering. Drive is the wheels. And I can put drive here again if I guess. Crew is the driver. Cannon is the cannon. And I'll just put drive again. And I'm just making this up as I go. Like this makes sense to me. Okay, so if you ever hit him, let's say you do. If you're in a 6, you took out drive, so you took out some of his wheels. So I'm gonna say, wow, okay, and it's only got 3 hit points on the wheel, so the wheel explodes. So I'm gonna say, minus D12 to handling. So he's really freaking, because this is destroyed for sure with 3 hit points. It's minus D12. So he's gonna have a minus D12 to his handling because he's obviously, that kind of thing. I'll probably just roll a D12 and 2. So add it to this handling of 10. So now it's a 12. So the wheel was damaged, but still kind of on there and still kind of working. Whatever. That's the way it is. But they can at least keep fighting or keep. So that's the basics of the game. Yeah, I mean, and obviously a transport's going to have more parts and be more fun to deal with. Here it is. This is all the parts of the D12. So they could shoot up your workshop, and damage it. The plus D6 is a bonus whenever you're trying to do something in the workshop, repair something. I wouldn't say build something because it's very tight and compact in here, so it's a GM discretion thing there. But as far as repairing things, you get plus D6. Same with lab medical, you get plus D6 to heal. They got a really good, first aid, second aid, third aid kit in there because that's what Christians do. And the transport is made to look ugly because in the story, they want them to look like they're wandering survivors and not from an actual Christian place. They want to keep their Christian place hidden in the story. Okay, great game. I really love this. I'm doing this. I'm playtesting the Sci-Fi one on my channel. This game is available on a Kickstarter right now. It's not doing so well, but that's okay. Whatever. I'm gonna this is gonna be on my website as well. As I'm gonna create a store there with the PDFs and printables. But I'm really enjoying GMing this. It's really simple and fun to do. And you get to play out fellowship and edification. There's fellowship and edification in this game, and you get to role play as well. And it feels so old school in a sense of like violent. There's violence and fighting, and we play kind of silly and snarky and have a good time. But you get to sort of espouse, or that's the right word, the gospel. You get to work on it and pray and openly pray because you're missionaries in an post-apocalyptic world. And people out there are crazy with their paganism, and we can see that in today's culture. And this culture of today is exactly the culture of 14th century, 6th century, 400 BC, exactly the same. If you read the New Testament, they're talking about how men or women, right? How the people of the church stop their sexual perversities, their what's that word? Sexual perversities. They're acting like women. They're incest. All of that horrible stuff is there already in the New Testament. What is that? 50 AD, 30 AD, 70 AD. And they're all talking like it's new stuff today. Anyway, this game is a way, I know we want to have freedom. Like, we want to play a game and not worry about our faith or whatever. Like, give us a break. God knows we need a break. Give us a break. Be a little selfish. Have a little fun. But this game is like that, and you get to mess around with your faith too. In a fun, easy way. So you make it lighter, and joyful, and you're not being forced to be woke. You're not being forced to be pagan. You're not being subtly change to be a pagan. You're actually fighting the paganism and exposing the paganism in the game, and that sort of work. It's practice, but it's fun practice, right? We need that. We have church, we have our Bible study, but we don't actually have evangelism practice, like where you get to actually evangelize practice, work it out and mess around and have fun with that. So that's what these games for Lord RPG is all about too. Okay, thanks for listening. Also the Apoc, fun stuff for the Lord RPG. Remember, in the game of life, roll holy dice.